computer. Is it recording? I believe it is. I hope so.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Where does it say?
There's a dot next to the secure, like
Where it says your screen sharing?
Yeah.
I think that dot needs support.
That one? Oh yeah, look at that. It's like flashing red. You know, I have another. Yeah. Okay. Am I still recording, do you think? I better keep this going. Okay, let me turn this off then. All right. So hopefully we're recording. Let me get my cheat sheet going here. And all right, it's going. Okay. A lot of stuff to get through tonight. Yeah, I hope we get through a fair amount of it because, like I said, this is where it kind of gets fun. I just want to warn you guys, don't get too freaked out by the density of information that I'm going to be sharing with you because, first of all, there's all kinds of videos, tutorials online for doing doing Unity and things like that. It doesn't really matter anyhow. You're all doing really well in the class. So, yeah, so this time I want to go through the process of actually, we're going to recreate what we did last week really quick. Then I want to show you the process of adding an observer who can move around in the scene and adding some sound. And then, if we are really fortunate, we'll add some mountains and start doing some fun stuff like that, okay? So, and along the way, I want to try and hit a few things that I forgot to highlight last time. But let's start out by just kind of, I wanted to ask you, any questions or anything so far? I mean, I always forget to ask that, so good. All right, we're going to start off by starting up our Unity Hub. And yeah, I want to talk a little bit about, hey, Stephen. Oh yeah, Stephen reminded me. We do have this thing going on Friday, if you want. And I'll send out the information with the Zoom link after I get home tonight, okay? It's the guy who's doing Python and music. It's going to be a pretty interesting workshop. He's really good at what he does. He also does a lot of interesting AI stuff. He'll start, yeah.
What do you usually do with Python?
I don't.
No, but in general.
It's a computer programming language that's used by a lot of researchers. It works very well with a lot of data and things like that. So it also interfaces well with AI stuff, I think. So that's what, yeah. Actually, Mark Evanstein, who's doing the thing, he's done a lot of music work with Python. So he's going to show his projects first and then kind of talk about them a little bit later. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's going to create a new project. And this is where I have to tell you about something, okay? You see where this says Intel? I can choose which version of Unity. I have several on here, okay? This is the one that I'm currently using. It's pretty much up to date. It's LTS, which means they're giving it long-term support. They're actually gone up to they're calling this new thing Unity 6, but I'm not going to show that in this class because it's all changed. They always change everything, and it's annoying. But when you download your editor versions, especially for the Macintosh, for Windows machines, it's not a problem, okay? But for this Intel makes a difference. Because notice I have some others here, okay? I have this 2021, and Intel and Silicon. It's because Apple has, their computers come with kind of two flavors right now, and you can choose which flavor you want. Silicon is you're running on their new chips that are very fast. Intel means that you're emulating an Intel chip on their new chips, which are very fast. Yankee and I ran into a problem yesterday or the day before, but I think we got it solved. But I'm going to recommend that you use the Intel version because I know that works on a lot of platforms because I've used it. So when you download your Unity editor, you'll be given a choice of which one you want. And I'd say stick with Intel for now, okay? And you can install the Silicon alongside it, and they'll both work, okay? But so I'm going to stick with this as Intel, okay? And I'm going to say, where am I going to put it? I'm going to put it into week 8, which is where we are, and I will call this week 8-Unity, okay? So we're going to create our project, and like I said, I'm very quickly just going to go through what we did last time, okay, in terms of making stuff and everything. All right, and then we're going to try a few kind of fun things with it. There we go. Takes a little while. It's compiling its scripts. See, it says right there, compiling scripts. Gosh, I hope I'm recording the sound and everything. I don't know. I assume I am. Hello.
Maybe not, because the little mic icon,
Yeah.
normally there's like a,
Oh, yeah.
it shows a level when you're talking.
It does? Oh dear, that's a problem.
Maybe you can
Shoot.
just hit the drop down. and see what it's,
Yeah.
You could also stop recording now and test and see how it works.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Everybody who's watching this, I'm going to stop my recording right now. Okay. How do I do that? I go over here, probably pause and stop recording. I'll pause my recording, or should I stop my recording? Yeah, I'm recording. Okay. Now I'm resuming. Yeah. Now it's working. Okay. Hey, listen. I'm really sorry if you just missed the first 5 minutes of this. I'll try and edit it out. You didn't miss anything important. Okay. So let's go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a game object. Okay, I'm going to create the first thing we did was make a plane down below. Okay, so there's our plane, yay. And let me get my face out of the way here. Right, because I want to see if my transform is set up properly. Yep, it's 0, 0, 0, so it's right in the middle of everything. Okay, life is good. There's my camera. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cube. Remember, we had a cube in there. All right, and we're going to make the cube go up by about, we'll say 3 units, okay? And let's rotate the cube a little bit. Let's not rotate it, because we're going to rotate it with a script, okay? Like we did before, okay? And let's see, I think that's all I did, except I moved the camera a little bit closer because it's a little bit too far away. Let's make it be -5. Okay, there we go. And now, just for fun, let's run the game just to make sure that it's doing what we think it should be doing. And let's hit the run here. Here we go. It's completing the domain. And whoa, there it is. And look, there's our cube. I made it maybe a little bit too high. Oh well, such is life. All right, but we can see the shadow of the cube down there. The shadow of my cube. Yeah. Well, that was a really old and ancient joke. You guys know that song, Shadow of My Smile? Yeah, yeah. Burt Bacharach. Come on, this is part of history here. Maybe I'll bring that. Yeah, no, it's running through your mind. Okay.
Is it the shadow of your lips?
No, it's the shadow of your smile.
That's the title.
You just heard it in Guadalupean Spanish.
Definitely not the shadow of my cube. I think.
It's not the shadow of
Shadow.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's spin this cube around, okay? Now, just a bit of review. Over here is what they call the object hierarchy. Anything in the scene is going to appear here. When I click on something over here, you get to see the components of that object, okay? The first component being the transform. This mesh filter and some of this stuff we're not going to mess with at all. I can even just like click them off, you know. This is interesting. We're going to fool around with that next week a little bit, okay? But we're going to add a component, okay? And we're going to go down here and we're going to make it a new script. And we're going to call it the spin cube script. Spin cube. Boy, I'm really not used to these glasses still. It's like kind of weird. Okay, so we're going to create and add it. Okay, and it should show up right there in our assets. Okay, and this will eventually say the script is going to be called spin cube. What happened? What the hell? Holy shit. I mean, sorry about that. It crashed. Why did it crash? That was weird. I didn't do anything bad at all. Oh well. Let's go back and reload our project here. Okay. So we're going to click on this guy. I had been saving it along. That's just a habit. I just hit Command S like almost every 2 minutes or so. So we shouldn't be too far off from where we were. Let's see. I think we were in the middle of singing the shadow of my cube.
Shadow.
Yeah, sorry about that, people at home. Anyhow, let's go back. There is something a little bit weird here. Let me go to my game. The scale should be 1. I'm not sure why that got reset. Okay, I could tell because there was like little jaggedy things around here. They were more jagged than normal, okay? So let's try it again. Okay, let's add a script. Oh, look, the script is there. But what's odd is that it's not on the cube. We have no script there. So I'm going to just simply take this and rather than recreate it, I should probably recreate it. I'm going to delete it, okay? All right, so now we're going to go to our cube. Come on, cube. It's still completing its domain. I'm glad it's completing its domain, but I'd rather it. All right, so here we go. We're going to add a component, do this all again. Go down to a new script. We'll call it spin cube. Hit return. Create and add. There it is. And we should see the script say spin cube here in just a second after it reloads the domain. There it is. So let's double click on this and bring up our editor so we can add some stuff to it so it'll make it spin. Okay. And remember what we did. I'll do what we did originally and then we're going to go and modify it, okay? Here it comes. And let me move this down off of that a little bit. And we should see it. And again, the default that it gives us, okay, everything in here is part of this component between that curly brace and that curly brace. By the way, curly braces in this language is a way of marking out different things. For example, one of the things that's marked out here is this function called start. Another thing that's marked out here is this function called update. Anything I put in here will happen when it starts up the program. Anything that I put in here will happen every time there's a new frame, okay? So we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna say, initially, we're gonna say, yeah. Where is that? I wanna make sure to, yeah, transform dot rotate. Hey, how are you? Doing well, doing well. Okay, and again, this is nice because it tells me all the stuff I need and everything that I want. I'm just recreating what we did last time, so you haven't missed anything at all. Okay, and let's just put in, we're gonna have it rotate 1.0F, 1.0F, 1.0F. So there's my X, Y, and Z rotation. So it's gonna rotate one degree, basically, every time a frame is called, okay?
In all 3 dimensions?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That's going to be the fun part, but we're going to modify that even further, okay? So let's see what it's doing, and we should see a kind of a tumbly cube up here, okay? All right, so here we go, and we will, oh shoot.
The F is just the specification of the language, right?
The which?
The F.
It's for float.
Oh yeah, this is that thing that's really annoying about this language. The fact that I'm using decimal points here should be more than enough to say, oh, you're using a decimal point. But no, they want you to put a little F after every single one you put the decimal point in for floating point. C#. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and fire it up and watch our cube spin around. Whoa, it's spinning. Look at that cube spin. That's one spinning cube. That's thrilled. Oh, I forgot to put a material on it, but that's not going to be that important because we're going to add more stuff to it later. Okay, so we're happy. Now we're going to start departing from what we did. That's basically all we did last week, except for the materials. All right? I want to do something even more cool, though. I don't want it to just spin around. I want it to spin around randomly. How am I going to do that? Well, this is where you're going to learn some new stuff too, okay? I am going to go here, and I'm going to say xrot, or the rotation of the x dimension, is going to be equal to, let's say, now, how do I know? Well, look, I typed an R, and this thing that says random popped up. Now, again, this is the thing that actually is really good about this computer language, is that you can then, if I type command single quote, it will bring up the Unity scripting reference. Oh, I didn't select all of, I did that last time too. That was so stupid of me. I don't need to see this either. Okay, you don't need to see that. Okay, okay. I'm gonna type in random, and I'm gonna select the whole thing. Now if I type command single quote, it resulted in 102 matches. And look, here's random. Easily generate random data for games. Easily, okay, all right. But you know what? I want to give it a specific range of values, okay? Look, here's one that says random.range, returns a random float within min inclusive and max inclusive. Now I could click on this and you could actually go to the page and look, there's examples of how to use it. Random.range between -10 and +10, okay? Hey, that sounds like a couple of good numbers to me. Let's do that, okay? So I'm going to go back in here, and my x rotation is going to be equal to random.range. And look, oh, there's another one that says random range. Why am I not using that? Because it says it's deprecated. This is some weird computer science-y word that means they're about to like eliminate it from their language forever. Now, soon means like within 10 years or something. But you don't want to use it, okay? And I'm not sure why they say deprecated. Do you know, Stephen? I mean, you've heard it though, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just common parlance. But we don't want to use that one. We want to use the range, just the plain old range, because that's where we give it the float min inclusive and float max inclusive, okay? So we'll type in range, and we'll put in our float min inclusive. Let's say -10.0f and 10.0f, okay? And then also I forgot to mention this, we have to put semicolons at the end of all these lines. I think I did mention that maybe. Yeah, this isn't like uRTcmix, which is a much betterly designed language, because you don't have to put in a semicolon. All right, so, hey, there's something wrong though. This is the other thing I like about this programming environment. It actually is, I'm pretty convinced it's not bad. When you see something underlined in red, that means there's something wrong there. And I can actually go to it and it goes, oh, the name xrow does not exist in the current context. Well, that's because we haven't set it up as being a proper variable yet. To set it up as a proper variable, you have to tell this C# program what kind of variable it is. We've already encountered floats. And the last time we encountered vector 3s, remember that one? There was actually 3 sort of like values in one single variable. Well, remember when I typed on this, okay? And look at that, float random.range. That means it returns a floating value. That means we have to tell it that this variable is a float variable. It's called variable declaration. And you'll have to do that if you have just an integer that you're not using with decimal points, you'll have to say int thing. There's other ones that we can use. We can use Boolean, which means it'll be true or false. And we can do Boolean things with it. Or we can make vector 3 or something like that, okay? But basically, that's what the problem is, okay? So I'm going to fill this out with the rest of these. Oops, and I didn't get my F.
So the X rotation is a word that should be invented.
I just made that up, right, because this, I'm going to make up Y rote and Z rote, okay? And then these numbers in here, I'm going to replace them with X rote, Y rote, and Z rote. Okay? So that means every single frame, it's going to choose a new random value for X rote between -10 and +10. It'll choose a new random value for Y rote between -10 and +10, and a new value for Z rote, okay? So that means that we should get like random rotation. Now, you might be surprised because it may not do exactly what you imagine, okay? So let's go ahead and fire it up. And let's see what goes on here. Here we go.
Do you have like a fixed frames per second?
It's variable, and that's actually a trick. Okay, yeah, you weren't here last time. Oh, there it goes. It's a very jittery cube. Okay. All right. Now, last time I set this up, and Miguel has a new M2, like pretty powerful Mac, and like I was doing it and we could see the cube spin. He said, "Whoa, look at mine!" And it was just going because this is running at the frame rate. The frame rate in Unity is variable depending on the processing you do. What you have to do if you want to make it consistent is you have to scale it by time. Okay? And there's a way to do that, okay? Here we go. That was a good question because it led right into what I wanted to say next, okay? All right. We can take all these values, and if we multiply it by, I'm not going to go through the whole find the thing in the documentation. We say time dot delta time times time, and I'll explain what this does. Dot delta time times time dot delta time. Okay, what is time dot delta time? Well, that's the amount of time that has elapsed since it rendered the last frame. So your computer, if your computer is very slow, that's going to be very big. Okay, so that means that the X row and the Y row values are going to jump larger. If your computer is very fast, it's going to be very tiny, and they won't jump very large, but there'll be a bunch of them, so they'll catch up. Basically, this means that this will all happen at the same rate, okay? Because you're essentially just multiplying it by how fast your computer is running, all right? Now, let's go ahead and run this, all right? And it's probably not going to do what you expect it to do. But again, that's part of the pedagogical process in this class. Look, I used academic words and everything. All right, here we go. Hit this, and here goes our cube. No, it's not going very fast.
Yeah, it looks like it's stuck here.
Okay, but it's moving. You see, I mean, yeah. That's because we've changed from being absolute numbers to being degrees per second. So this is only going to move somewhere between -10 and 10 degrees per second. So that means every second it's only going to move like just about 2 degrees maybe or something like that. So what we need to do is we can either multiply this by something to get it scaled up, or let's make it be maybe -100 to +100. Okay, so now it's going to be somewhere between -100 degrees per second and +100 degrees per second. It'll probably be clustered somewhere in the middle, okay? So, oh, also remember, just a reminder, see this thing? It means it's not saved yet. I have to save it, or it will not compile it. And I'll go back and I'll go, it's running, but not doing what I told it to do. So here we go. Let's go back out to this guy. All right, and let's hit play. And now it should move around a little bit more, I hope. Yeah. It's not great, but, you know, and that's because by making between -10 and 10, it's going to cluster down around 0. So the poor thing is just going to kind of like go like that. There's ways around this. You can fool with the randomness. You can make it be random just in one direction, like maybe between 10 and 20 on the X rotation, maybe between -30, -40 on the Y rotation. So you can kind of experiment with these things and get different movements, but I'm going to pretend like that's the cube of my dreams, okay?
Yeah, it looks comfortable.
No, I think it's looking excited and happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a cube, I'm a cube. Would it help if I made it a color? Do you want to see how to do that again? Okay, all right. Now, to do that, we have to create a material, okay? So we go down to our project, and we click on this thing here, and up here is material. Okay, so there's a new material, and let's make the cube, we'll make it nice and green, okay? And notice that when I click on this color, it brings up this inspector for all the stuff, and the thing that we want to modify is this thing called the albedo, or the reflectance, all right? So I'm clicking on that, I'm going to spin this around to green, move this over into the green area, and now I have created a green material, because it says right there it's green. So to get it on the cube, this is the part I really like. You just click it and drag it up there. Boom. Does that make it happier? Okay. All right. I'll just say something here, because we're going to get into this a little later on, especially if we get to the point where we're starting to build some terrain. You'll be hearing about textures and materials, all right? That green, when I was selecting that, I was basically creating a texture. A texture is just an image. And we can have all kinds of textures of like rocks and grass and stone and stuff that we can put on different like grounds, or we can have textures of like wood and metal and stuff like that. But they're basically just pictures of things. A texture then exists inside a material. And what a material is that's the whole, let me go back up here and select this cube, okay? All these things, and then the materials on the cube, the light is involved. All these things and all the light, the material is what the cube will appear like in a given scene with given lighting and with given reflectance and things like that. That's why we're able to go into here and modify a bunch of this stuff, because that gets incorporated into the material. So a texture is basically a component of the material. All right. Yeah. That took me a long time to figure that out when I was first learning this stuff. All right. Anyhow, so we're having fun. You know, oh, I forgot. I want to get rid of that outline thing. Okay. Selection outline, because that kind of drives me crazy. Okay. See, this still is looking kind of wonky. No. No, that's not right. That's right. Okay. I think it's my glasses, actually. Yeah, it looks better that way. Okay, all right. Now, the real fun is not just watching a cube jiggle around, but to be able to walk around the cube and watch it jiggle around. That'll make you happy, right? Okay. Now, that's a little tricky. You can actually go to the main camera and put on things that will alter this transform in real time in response to like keys that you type or controllers that you might attach, you know, or things like that. But it's kind of annoying and difficult to do, to accommodate all these things. But Brad has come to your rescue, and I'm going to show you something, and then we're going to use it. Where's my, oh shoot, let me get myself down out of there. Right. This will be linked in, okay? I'm going to go to my main site, and if you go to sites.music.columbia.edu/Brad and then uRTcmix, well, you have to type it correctly too. Cmix. This is the main page for uRTcmix, and it has some tutorials and stuff like that. They're a little out of date, okay? But the thing that I'm going to look at is the Brad Observer game object for moving in a scene. Ooh, isn't that neat? Well, let's click on this. And now you have your choices, okay? They changed between 2019 and 2020. They changed their sort of movement situation, their interactivity stuff, because they just like changing things randomly here and there. And Yankee has noticed that it does bad things to your projects. Okay, so basically, we're not really using this one at all anymore because we're doing everything in 2022 now, and I would highly recommend just going with that. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to download this package, all right, into my downloads. And I'm going to go over here, and just for fun, I will move it up to, we're in week 8. Let me click on my, oh, not my trash, my downloads. Where's my downloads? There they are. Okay, so there it is, bradobserve.package.unity. I'll bring it over here into week 8 just so I have it handy, because I might use it on another project later on. But how do I get this guy into this? And again, this is the part of Unity that I do like because it's so easy. You click on it out here, wherever you have it. You can bring it in from your downloads if you want. I only did this so that I would have it here handy. And you just drag it down into your assets. And then it's going to say, do I want to import all these things? Yes, you do. So you say import. And there it goes. All right? Now, if I now notice that you have a, well, it's coming. Come on. Yes, it's coming. There it is. All right. Notice that I have a new folder there called, what the heck happened? Jesus. Oh, shoot, I just quit Unity. Weird things are happening to me tonight. Weird things, guys. Okay, let's bring this back up. Weird things. I clicked on something and made it big. Sorry for you watching at home. Oh, it's still like annoying. Huh. Okay. We're in Unity hell now. There we go. Okay. Yankee, do you have any idea what?
Layout, like default. Oh, okay.
There. Whew. All right. Yes. Jeez. Somehow I switched it so the layout only showed my project tab. That's not good. Okay. There. Good. Everything is there. All right. Let's see if our cube is still happily spinning. It's happily green, so that's good. Okay. Yeah. How can you say that's not happy? That's a happy.
The green makes a difference.
Yes, the green does make a big difference. Okay. All right.
It's excited.
Okay. All right. All right. I was going to make it blue, but then you'd say it had the blues.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, a good thing that I remember. Oh, my observer is already still there too. Good. All right. So we're going to go in here, and there's stuff you can read about. The scripts, you can look at them if you want. These are the scripts that make it move. Okay, and they have all the stuff that I've programmed in for different controllers and things like that. They're kind of not good, but they work. Now this thing called prefabs. What the heck is a prefab? Well, a prefab is a very nice and useful Unity features where you can take stuff that you built and bundle it into one object that you can then put in your hierarchy. Like suppose I really like that cube that jiggled and was green. If I take this and drag it down into my assets here, it creates this thing that says cube, and notice that it's listed as a prefab asset. That means I can now treat this as a completely independent thing, and I can put another cube here that's also going to spin around, okay? So basically it's a way of kind of bundling up stuff in Unity that you're going to be able to use over and over and over again. And so what I did was with this observer, oops, this got turned off. Let me get rid of that cube. And let me get rid of that prefab, because we were not going to use it. In the prefabs here, oops, in the prefab, what is, I'm just graphically, mouse is, text. All right, go into the prefabs. Observer. This is the prefab I built with all the observer scripts and everything on it, okay? So I can simply take this and bring it out here, okay, and put it somewhere. Maybe I'll put it up here. Actually, let's reset it and bring it back where the camera was, okay? So I'm going to go up to the transform, and I'll say, oops, reset. Didn't mean to do that. Notice it's now 0, 0, 0. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Let's make it be 0, 1, 0. Yeah. And let's move it back a little bit. Let's make z be -5. And it looks along the z-axis, okay? So there we go. All right. The only other thing we have to do is, oh, this guy didn't get deleted. Oh, no, wait, what happened? Oh, it's still there, okay. I think I did something wrong when I deleted that cube. It may have thought I was trying to delete this one too. The observer has its own camera built in. So if I ran this right now, we'd get really weird results because it thinks there's two main cameras on the scene. Now in Unity, there's ways that you can have multiple cameras, but then you have to programmatically say which one you're using. And if I don't say which one, it'll try and use them both, and it'll be a problem area. So what I need to do is delete that camera. And now it'll only use the camera on the observer object. So let's run this and watch what happens. Okay. So there's my jiggly cube. Now, arrow keys. Left, right, back and forth. Whoa. 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 Shift left, spin it around. Shift right, spin it that way. Run into the cube. Ah! Yeah. Turn around. Cube is still there. Ooh, we can go inside the cube. Ooh. We're inside the cube. Wow. Okay. And option up, option down. You can also hook up with shift up or shift down. So this is basically the thing that you can use to get around your screen. Okay. Now here's the other fun part. There's some parameters that you can type. Specifically, you can type the speed or the rotation speed down here. There's another one called the M rotation speed. It doesn't do anything anymore, okay? But the other nice thing about this is if you use this observer, when we go and try and run it on the VR apparatus, it will automatically pick up like the joysticks and stuff, so you can just like start joysticking around and things like that, which is kind of cool. Well, it's actually quite cool because it's really fun. Be careful though. When I was working on one of my projects, you had to go down this long, windy path to get to something that I wanted you to see. And I was trying to debug the something to see because it had some problems. And every time I went down there, I'd fall off a cliff and have to go back around. So I thought, well, this is really annoying. So I took the speed up by a factor of 10 because I wanted to just get out there. Bad idea. Because, you know, you've heard that sometimes Unity can cause people to be nauseous. Well, flying over a landscape at 30 instead of 3 will, in fact, make you nauseous. So, yeah, you have to kind of fine-tune some of these parameters a little bit and, you know, see how they go. Have you all tried VR stuff at all? Have you guys used it? Okay, so did you get nauseous? Okay, good. Yeah, it's funny, different people, my sister cannot stand more than 10 seconds, you know? I mean, when I wanted to show her what I was doing, I'd say, close your eyes, I'd move her, and then say, open them, she'd look around. Close her eyes, I'd move her. My 90-year-old mother can spend like all afternoon. It's like, oh, this is fun, you know? So, yeah, weird. All right, so we've got some good stuff happening. We've got a little landscapey thing happening there. What are we doing on time? We're doing great on time, actually. Now we want to add sound, okay? This is the main point of this class. Excuse me. So let's go back out to our uRTcmix webpage, to the main part here. All right. There's these two things. The uRTcmix package to install Unity for use. This is for the Silicon projects. This is why I was telling you all that nonsense about Silicon and Intel. We're going to use the Intel version, okay? Because that's how I set up the original sort of project, all right? Now, it'll tell you, if you download and use the wrong one, it'll say, oh, the architecture is wrong. And you go, oh, that's really sad. And then you know that you have probably used the wrong one of these, okay? Now, for Windows, it doesn't have this problem. So you can use either one for Windows and it'll work, all right? But we're going to use, like I said, this regular one, not the one with the S. The S is for the Silicon package. So we're going to click on that, download it, and I'm going to bring that out here too so that we have it handy in case I crash again. Yikes. So let's take this downloads and, oh, I got to bring up my, yeah, where is it? There it is. That's my observer package. Ah, there it is. There's my uRTcmix package. Pull that up here. all right? And we bring it into our project the same way that we did with the observer, okay? We're going to simply go out here, grab that uRTcmix Unity package, and bring it in here. Bring it in here. Oh, come on, grab it better. Bring it in here. Grab, aha. Bring it in there, okay. Okay, so there's all the stuff it's going to bring in. Notice we have a couple of prefabs like before with the observer, but these are a little bit different, okay. So we're going to import everything, all right. And if you're very, very observant, you will see something red down here. Now something red means it's not good, all right? And what this red thing says, I don't know why they chose red font against a black background, but it's kind of annoying, okay? It says, unsafe code may only appear if compiling with unsafe. Allow unsafe code in the player settings. See, I'm such a good programmer that I make unsafe code. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means I'm going to get all of your, credit card numbers. No. There's this thing that you can use in sort of advanced applications called a pointer, where you can have it go to different parts of the code. That's a typical way for a hacker to break something, is to use this pointer thing. Now, there's all kinds of protections, and I'll be honest, nobody's going to use this program to become a hacker or anything, because I think maybe 10 people in the entire world are using it, so don't be too worried about it. And it will only be, don't worry, it doesn't affect your whole computer, only this project, but we're going to allow this unsafe code, okay? Because it's stupid that they won't allow it, because you have to be able to do it. How do you do that? Well, it tells you down here, go to Assets, go down to your, is it an Edit? It's an Edit, yeah. Go to Edit, go down to the Project Settings, and select Player, okay? Now the audio, this is the built-in Unity audio system. You're welcome to kind of look at the tutorials on that and see how it works. It will work with uRTcmix at the same time, but I think it's annoying. I'm saying annoying a lot tonight too. What was the word I was saying the other night? Okay, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 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 all right. So here we go, okay? All right, so if you scroll down or do what Yangshi does is really smart, she'll actually type in unsafe up here and it'll take it directly to where it is. But I'm going to go down because I know here's where it says allow unsafe code, and I will click that. And now I can just close this off, okay? After it completes its domain and does whatever it's doing. That's all new in this new version of Unity. I have no idea what it means. I guess it has a domain that it has to complete, okay? And no, see, look, there's no reddish thing down here. This observer move, that's just annoying. Annoying again. It's just stupid. All right, that's my own fault too. All right, so we've got this new folder, uRTcmix, okay? Did you catch that? I said okay. All right, there's...
Do it now.
It's true. I don't either, obviously, okay? All right, there's a bunch of stuff in here. There's these strips, the lives. This is where those things that actually make sound go. We're going to go to the prefabs, and there's two in there. One is uRTcmix main, and you just have to have it up here, okay? It's nothing you're going to really use directly. It has all the uRTcmix functions that you're going to use in your own sort of setup and everything like that. But it's kind of the glue between the Unity world and those things I showed you that said live uRTcmix and all that. All you have to do is drag it up there. It's a game object, but notice that the game object has a position of 0 and 0, 0, and it has nothing else. It doesn't have those things that said render, mesh render, or things like that. That's because when I made it as an empty game object. So it just exists in the game with no physical manifestation, which is fine. And in fact, the other one that I'm going to bring up, this one that says beep, that also will exist with no direct things, but you'll notice that there's a lot more stuff on there. It's because it's been designated now as an audio source, and these are things that you can add to it if you want, but I don't want to. I just like to use the plain uRTcmix, all right? So once I bring this up, what beep is designed to do is play a sine wave beep for about 7 seconds when I start the game. So this is a way to test that your audio is actually working. So I'm going to hit this, and hopefully it is. Oh no. All right.
These things.
Oh Lord. Okay. All right. So we're going to have to do something stupid because Apple is just stupid. All right. We're going to go out here and see where it says the truly annoying. Here's how to get it going. We're going to use this one, I think. All right. And if that doesn't work, I have a temporary fix, and I'll have to go back and fix it. So I'm going to bring up a terminal.
Like Apple is always blocking everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you got it from their damned app store from hell, you know, which is in courts right now. Go courts. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this will hopefully allow me to turn it off. I may have to restart Unity, unfortunately. Let's see if it worked, first of all. Okay. So let's go here. It worked. Great. Okay. So that is actually uRTcmix making sound in this Unity scene. How did it do that? Well, if you go out here to these scripts, notice when I look at this beep thing, it does have a script on it called the beep script. That's where the action is happening, and that's what I'm going to walk you through right now. Oh, we're doing good on time. What's going to happen after this? Yeah. Oh, good. We're actually doing quite good on time. All right. So let's go to the scripts, and let's look at this beep script. Again, the uRTcmix main script, that's the thing that's attached to this that allows you to use all these uRTcmix functions. So I'm going to click on beep here, and notice that it has some of the stuff that we've seen before when we were making the spinning thing. Like here's the start, and there's the update, you know, but it's got some other stuff too, all right? First of all, remember I told you that we had to declare variables in the C# language? Well, I'm declaring a variable here called the objno. That stands for object number. Every time you have a new uRTcmix thing making sound, you have to give it a unique number. So the next one I make would be 1. The next one would be 2, 3, etc., things like that. Now, why am I saying that up here and not down where it's being used? Well, notice that I'm using it here in this start thing, and I'm also using it here in this thing called onAudioFilterRead, okay? If I declare the variable up here, it will be valid through this entire thing, which is what I want because I'm using it in several different places in this entire thing. If I declared it just right here, it would only be valid inside that. And then when I tried to use it somewhere else, like down here, it'll go, I don't know anything about that variable because you only use it here. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, just declare all of your variables up here and you'll probably be okay. Okay? All right. So the second variable I declared is one called uRTcmix main. That's the type. So it's not a float, it's not an int, it's actually an uRTcmix main variable. That's where all the uRTcmix functions are that we're going to use. And then I have this thing that I use called did start to just let Unity know that the thing is running and uRTcmix is making sound and it's happy, all right? So jumping down here to the start for a minute, that's where we do the stuff when it starts up. And the first thing it does is it's using this variable uRTcmix, and on this variable is a thing called init uRTcmix, and we give it the object number. That sets up uRTcmix to make sound. It's like turning on the DAC in Max MSP, you know. All right? And then we can send it a score. In MaxMSP, we had it in those little windows that we would open up by double-clicking. Well, here we just have it right here. And again, we have to give it the object number that it's being sent to. But that's our good old familiar wavetable. And a couple things, notice that it's in quotes. That's because our Unity is going to have to see this as a single sort of thing. So if we add more things, we're going to have to add more quotes to it and make it kind of all work out. You'll see that. So the start thing will initialize it and send out this note, which has a start time of 0 and a duration of 8.7 seconds and all the rest of the stuff. It's going to play, that is a G above middle C, 8.00 is middle C, 01 C sharp, 02 is D, blah, 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 all the way up. So it's going to play this nice G, which we've heard. Now, let's back up a little bit. What's this one, awake? Well, awake is pretty much like start, only it happens before start. And what we have to do there is we have to, this is kind of like really annoying. All I do is copy and paste it all the time because I can never remember the syntax or anything like that. This is the thing that allows me to find that, which is where all my uRTcmix functions are. So notice that I'm setting that variable equal to finding that. That's what enables me then to use init uRTcmix and send score, because they're all part of that thing. All right? Now we go down here. We don't do anything in update, because again, that's just the frame rate. We're actually having to operate much faster than the frame rate because we're generating 44,100 samples per second, right? Or actually 88,200 because of stereo. So this bizarrely named function called onAudioFilterRead is the thing that happens at, hey Danny.
My vision's not as good as it used to be.
Oh, neither's mine. It's really fun to lecture with these progressive lenses, and I'm going, oh, hi everybody. So this is the thing that's actually being called at that kind of sample rate. Now it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's being called once a buffer, okay? But essentially, if it hasn't started, it doesn't do anything. Otherwise it would crash, all right? These two we get to ignore for now and probably for the rest of this class. But what we need to do inside this weirdly named onAudioFilterRead, it should be called sample compute or something like that, but it's called onAudioFilterRead for some reason. We call uRTcmix, but we call now run uRTcmix. And we give it that data, which is where it's going to put the samples. We give it the object number, and then we give it a 0. The 0 is something I've been thinking about taking out. It's like one of those old 1000 things. If 0, it's only doing synthesis. If it's 1, it's doing signal processing because it has to do twice as much work. And I wanted to be able to make it as efficient as possible. And in fact, that's not a bad thing because once you start really lowering this up with all kinds of stuff and things like that, it starts really taxing the CPU and your frame rate starts to really plummet, you know. That's why you need NVIDIA cards that make people lots of money. Okay, so this is all we need to do for now, all right? We're going to modify this later, okay? But, and then this one, just copied over, that's what has to happen when you quit, otherwise it'll crash. You have to like, say did start is now false, so it will no longer actually do any of this. That's if not did start, so if it's false, and if it's not false, that means it's true, so you return, all right? Okay. Sorry, I keep looking over at you. I'll start looking at other people too. I need to look at Elisa.
Don't look at me.
Okay. All right. So that's, I mean, this is actually the conceptually hardest part. You know, the next thing we're going to do is figure out how do we get like a script that we want in here instead of like a beep. And it turns out that's actually kind of ridiculously easy. All right. Well, let's go. All right. All right. All right. Let me drink some more Dr. Pepper. Let's go back out to MaxMSP and let's create a sound that we want, okay? That's the other one I say is okay. All right, and okay. Never like, oh, terrible. I should start saying that. Instead of saying, okay, we're all right, I'll go, oh, woe is me. All right, let's build a max patch, okay? And let's put in an uRTcmix tilde. Wait, and uRTcmix tilde. And unity is stereo, so we're gonna make it stereo. Let's put in a bang so that we can actually like hear what we're doing. There we go. Let's put in an easy DAC so we can hear it coming out. Left channel, right channel, okay. All right, and now let's save this because it might crash. Save as, and we'll put it into week 8. And we're gonna call this wind.maxpatch because I'm gonna make a nice windy sound for our jiggling cube, all right? How are we gonna do that? Well, I know how to do it because I've done this many times because I like different winds, all right? All right. Let's go out here and let's create a new tab and let's go to the uRTcmix.org site and let's go to the reference, let's go to instruments, and we're gonna go down here to filters and equalizers. Ooh, this one looks really interesting because you can tell I've used it before, okay? Got a couple things set up in II noise. Let's just look at the documentation here, okay? Look, you can specify a center frequency, a bandwidth, and an amplitude. So this is our filter. We can decide how wide we want this band pass to be. And we can do...
The bandwidth is this, literally like the...
Yeah. Right, and the center frequency, is it like low or high, all right? Yeah. And you can actually have a whole bunch of those, so you can make a really humpy sort of thing, but we're only going to use one because this is going to be just pure wind, all right? And the one we're going to do is these are all different things that you can send into that filter that you could create. You can send in an input signal, you can send in these buzz or pulses, those are like synthetic, but I'm going to use noise, II noise. And I can even remember those parameters because they're so simple, all right? So let's go out here, open this up, and let's say setup, and let's set it up so let's say the center frequency will be, say, 150 hertz, okay? And let's say our bandwidth is going to be maybe 50 hertz, and our amplitude of this will be 1. And then we just say II noise, okay? And start duration, let's make it be 5 seconds, we'll make it be 7 seconds long, okay? And amplitude, since we're synthesizing, we're going to make it be 20,000. And 0.5, we want it to come out the middle of the speakers. And now, let's save it and listen. What do we hear? Okay, right? That's not a bad wind, but I want a wind that's a little bit maybe higher pitch. Let's make this be 250 and not as windy, okay? We're going to make it be only 10 hertz wide, all right? So it's not going to be so oceany. Okay, now we hear, yeah, that's a good wind. That's a really good wind. All right, but I want to do more than just go whoo the whole time. I want this to be a Halloweeny evolving wind. Okay, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to say that the center frequency is going to be a random number between 200 and 400 hertz. Oh, not 4,500, that would be really weird. Maybe we'll try it later, okay? All right, and then over here,
Close the parentheses. For I, right?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Something was wrong there. That's right. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. All right, so now notice that we don't have to use this in here because this actually sets up the filter, so we don't have to actually mess with putting a pitch value in there or anything like that. So now we should be able to hear it, but we want to do one more thing. We want it to generate another one, maybe 3.5 seconds. Yeah. Right, so now we listen to it. Oh, I forgot to do something. The max bang is going out, but it's not banging coming in. There we go. Just a second. Why is it not making a different sound? Here we go. That's okay, but the wind is going like that. I want the wind to kind of morph into each other. So for that, I need to add an amplitude envelope. Amp n equals make table. This is, you're noticing that I use the same thing over and over and over again? It's because I'm old and tired. Okay, all right, time 0 be 0. At time, let's do a scale of 100. At time 50 be 1. And at time 100 be 0. So that'll make it fade up and down. And we're going to take this and multiply it by amp n. Okay. So now save this, and now we should hear. Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's going to be nice. I think it'd be a nice addition to our little thing here. So we got this score. How do we get it into Unity? Well, let's go back and look at this and do we just put quotes around the whole thing? That will not work because sometimes uRTcmix, in fact, you'll notice in this one, hold on. We put quotes around it. Notice that there's actually quotes inside of it. So if we put a quote up there, it'll see that quote and go, oh, that's my whole uRTcmix script, and it'll be really confused. It also doesn't like commas and all kinds of things like that. We have to, basically what we're doing is we're converting this into a string variable inside Unity. But to do it by hand is really annoying. And this time annoying is worthwhile because it actually is really annoying. But to the rescue, I have this program here called the Scorealizer. It's used to create score strings. Well, let's download the old Scorealizer. All right, and we can do the Windows version, which we don't want. And this tells you how to use it, but I'm going to show you how to use it. So we'll just bring it down here. All right. This. Yep, this for now. Get rid of that for now. About here. And I'll put it in here so we have it handy. Downloads. Where did it go? Scorealizer.zip. Put that up there. Double click on it. And it unpacks into the Scorealizer. All right, so here's what we do. It is so easy. We simply go out here, select all of our sort of little script we made, and we copy it. Then we start up the Scorealizer. Yes, now why don't they do this for everything? That's great that it happened, but oh well. Oh, you know why? Because I turned off their gatekeeper. Good for me. Yeah, okay. All right, so paste in your score, paste, hit return, and then type Control-D. And magically, Scorealize. You have to say that too. It turns into what we want. This is the start and the end. So now I simply copy all that. And I go back to my Unity project and I find my Visual Studio. And this send score, prior to that, I'm going to paste this in. And I'm going to maybe move this out so that makes a little bit more sense. So now what we've done is we've created a variable. Come back to life. There we go. That is a string variable called score, and it has all the appropriate quotes that we need that will replace this. So that means that we can just get rid of this and put in score. And our job is done. Now, when we play our cool observer,
I have a question. So
Sure.
Is that script attached to? Is it on the green cube? Is it on the observer?
it's basically, right now, it's attached to the beep object. Because remember, we took the beep script and no, actually, what is it attached to?
I think you're right. I think it's the beep.
I thought we were working on the beep object. Yeah. So right now it's attached to the beep object. You know, you could create a new object with a new script and then put all that stuff in there if you wanted. Okay, in fact, that's how you're probably going to work. But this one, in fact, that's what I meant to do, but I just started modifying the beep one and hey, it worked. Okay. So now it won't beep, but instead it will go like this. Well, now maybe the jiggly cube is like kind of cold. Oh, what happened? It just did it once. Why didn't it do it again? Well, I will show you why. Max bang.
Yeah.
How do we get that to happen? Well, down here, this is where we're computing all our samples, right? So it makes sense that maybe we will check for if uRTcmix dot, what's it called? Check. I'm not spelling it right. Ooh, look, there's one of the things. These are all the things that you can do with that uRTcmix, and there's one called check bang uRTcmix. Well, let's use that one. Because in fact, if that one is equal to 1, oh, we also have to say, I don't know if you saw this when I was typing this out. That's not going to do it. But it wanted the obj know. Right. Stop. Make it stop. Okay. Now if that equals 1, then we have to do something. Well, what do we have to do? We have to create the score and send it again, right? So let's just put this down in here. I just did a quick copy and paste. And let's maybe tighten this up a little bit, just for fun. Okay. Now, what happens? It comes into this weirdly named onAudioFilter read to compute our samples, and it runs uRTcmix, and once it finishes it, it checks to see if there's a bang. And in fact, in 3.5 seconds, there will be a bang. So if there is a bang, then it says, well, okay, here's my score that I'm going to do again, and I'm going to send that score. And I'll wait then for the next bang to come around. And that's essentially what we're doing in MaxMSP, only now we're just intercepting it with code. This is basically what happens inside MaxMSP if you look at their code. Okay? So now we do this. And we should hear good stuff.
That's just one bang. So if you have several ones, you have to copy this.
Yeah. There's another way to do it using what's called max values, where you can give each one a number, and you can check for 1 or check for 2 or check for 3. We didn't cover that at all. Okay. If you get to that point, we'll figure it out together. All right. So now when I do this, wow, it's gonna be so cool. Oh yeah, there it comes. Ooh, good. Oh, it's a hot and dusty sun. Oh, so it's not shivering, it's like,
Sweat, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what happens when it's getting sunstroke, poor thing. I'm gonna go hide in the shadow.
Religious experience.
There we go.
Yeah.
What's that?
Been possessed.
Yeah. Ooh.
Looking at God.
Yeah, that's true. Soon it will be in the appropriate position, and I will have the absolute power. So, yeah. Congratulations, we just made like a cool uRTcmix thing. See, it's so simple. Okay. All right.
Why do you have to squirrelize? Why can't you, if you have like a script saved somewhere,
Okay.
you just load that in?
You can, actually. There is a way to load it in, but that requires, you have to create a text object and use the load function on the text object. Okay, and I thought that was not pedagogically,
Because I'm thinking about like the scripts that Doug was showing us.
oh yeah. No, you can load that in as a single thing. Don't worry. Yeah, you don't have to like squirrelize, although you could. Yeah, it's shoot, I forgot what the name of the function is. I wrote it, but I forgot what it was. But I have to look it up. But you can give it just a regular text file name and it'll just like plop it right in there. So, yeah. Okay. So, this is more fun than words, obviously. But you know what's going to be even more fun? And this is, I'm not kidding, this is when it gets really, really kind of fun. This sort of plane is sort of bugging me a little bit because it's very plain, because it's a plane. What I'd really like to have is like a terrain to walk around on. A terrain that has like mountains and stuff. So, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this plane, right? Boom. Actually, no, I have to go up here and then Command delete. No plane.
Question.
Sure.
Just the beep object you said is not something that has a physical presence, right?
Right.
So if the beep becomes my score, it's going to be just background music
Yeah.
of the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Now, what you can do with uRTcmix though is you can actually put a score, you can put an uRTcmix process on an object. Okay.
Yeah, because I
And-
was confused about that.
right.
This one doesn't have a body.
No. In fact, if we're able to get to it next week, I hope to. The thing about putting it on an object is that you can then localize the sound.
Yeah.
You know, if the object is there, it will sound like it's coming from there, and you can like move your head around, and you know, you can move the object around, things like that. So that's why it's important to do that. Or if you have like a sound that's going to interact with another sound, you know, or maybe a sound. What we will do next time is we will set it up so that a certain operation will trigger a sound on a certain object. You know. Yeah, but for general background stuff, you just let it go with the background. Okay. And I thought wind was good in the background. You don't want all your wind coming from like the cube, unless it's a very mystical cube. All right. So here we go. We're going to create a terrain, and we'll see how far we get with this because. None of it is particularly difficult, but it's a very powerful tool in Unity. Well, let me show you what it does, okay? We're going to go up here to a game object, and we're going to go to a 3D object, and look, one of the things you can create is a terrain, okay? So now I'm going to click on terrain, and I'm going to show you something else that Unity did that, again, it's annoying, okay? There we go. There's our terrain. Here's what's annoying about the terrain. Every single object that you create in Unity generally will go to where this cube is, map coordinates 0, 0, 0. For some reason, they decided to make that the left-hand lower corner of the terrain. So, yeah, if I were to play this game now, we'll see the terrain. All right. But it's all over there. It's not there. It's not where I am. It's all over there. All right. And it's basically kind of a boring terrain now because it's just a checkerboard. All right. You can do one of two things. You can actually just kind of live with that, which we're going to do tonight. Or you can actually move your terrain over so that you're in the middle of it, or you can move yourself over so that you're in the middle of it. But we're just going to kind of leave it like that. The other thing it does, which isn't annoying, but it's kind of like surprising, is look how big that terrain is. Okay, my terrains generally don't tend to be that large, especially when I'm showing something off in a class. How do I change the size? Well, notice that we've got this terrain inspector, and it has a transform up there, and then it's got this main thing called terrain. And then it's got this thing called the terrain collider. We're not going to deal with that yet, okay? But this is, it says no tool selected. These are all tools that you can use to modify this terrain. And the first one we're going to look at is the terrain settings. okay? Because down in here, and there's a whole blue billion of them, you know, you can preserve the tree prot. I have no idea what that means, but you can specify the tree motion vector. So if you have trees, you can say which way is the wind going to blow and things like that. Yeah, billboard start, there's all this good stuff. But we're going to go down here to the terrain width and terrain length, and we're going to make them just be 100. Okay? And notice now that our terrain is a little bit more manageable, you know. Yeah, there we go. I mean, 100 by 100 is probably too small for most terrain stuff, you know, unless you're inside a house or something like that, you know. But I'm just going to do this tonight like that. The terrain heights, that's how high do you want the mountains to be. Now 600 is a little high because it's going to be like 6 times the width of this terrain. So let me make it be something more like 200, okay? You don't have to, I could keep it at 600, okay? I have no idea what those mean. I don't even know what holes are, but you can compress them apparently. I think I know what they are, and then the light maps, oh look, there's all kinds of things going on here, but we're going to be happy with that for now, all right? But there's other tools you can use. There's this tool, which says paint details. Those are if you've got flowers and stuff, you can like scroll over them with your mouse and like make little petals on the flowers and things like that. This one, paint trees. They're big on trees in their terrains. So you can actually, once you build a terrain, you can actually use this paint tree tool and like move your mouse around and trees will magically appear. And you can actually go down here and edit the details of the trees that we were looking at earlier. Right. There's more stuff you can do. But we're not going to look at that. We're going to look at paint terrain. Okay? And this one, create neighbor terrains, I never used it. All right? Well, I have used it, but rarely. But paint terrain is important. If I click on that, whoa, look, it gives me some options. I can paint the texture. I can paint holes. There's those holes. Or I can raise or lower the terrain. That's what I want to do first. All right? Now, it has some things that you can do here. You can set the brush size, or you can set the opacity. I'm going to goose this up a little bit. This is like how strongly does it respond. The brush size, oh look, there's my size there. That seems a little small. I'm going to goose this up a little bit to like that. And then in here, these are the different kinds of brushes you can use. I'm going to use this one. Now this is where you get to be God, because I'm going to click down and make a hill. But I got a little carried away with this hill. If I hit shift and push on it, I can push it back. Okay? And let me go over here, and I'll make some more hills. Oh, I'm going to push this one down a little bit more. Yeah. Let me use a different one. Let me see what this one does. Oh, it makes humps like that. Oh, let's make our opacity be a lot more. And what happens if I use this one? Whoa, look at that, I'm just clicking. Wow, cool, huh? Oh, look, mountains. Yeah, mountains in the background. Oh, we'll leave a valley down here, okay? Now, here's the fun you can have. I'm going to play this. And I'll be able to walk my observer into those checkerboard mountains. Here we go. Ready? So I can go around here. Whoa. Oh, and look, I'm living in this place that I built. And it's windy. Okay, a couple of things are wrong. First of all, checkerboard mountains aren't really what I had in mind. I wanted to have like, you know, rocks and stuff like that. There's also something else that I'm not sure we'll have time to fix tonight, but it's pretty easy to fix. I'm going to climb up on those mountains, right? Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to go right through the mountains. That's something that you have to fix on your observer object, and we're going to do that later, okay? Because the first thing I want to do is get rid of this checkerboard nonsense and get something cool, you know? Because I want something cool. Oh, let's build this. Whoa! Got a little carried away there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. What does this do? Oh, I did that one before, didn't it? Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Let's put it through here. Good. I feel like that Bob, what was his last name? That guy that, let's paint some happy little trees here.
Bob Ross.
Yeah, Bob Ross. Let's paint some happy little mountains right here. Yeah. You probably have no idea who we're talking about. Oh, you do? Oh, so he was famous in New Zealand too?
Yeah, I first got shown Bob Ross when I was in New Zealand.
Oh, really?
By an American though. Yeah.
He must be like part of the New Zealand
I don't
zeitgeist,
think
you know?
so. She was American. But
Okay.
I used to play videos in my high school at lunchtime.
I'm sorry, that's just weirdly twisted in some way. I don't know what kind of weird educational experiment they were running, but well, here you are. All right. Okay. Now, how do I get this to be different? Well, if I go here, look, I can paint a texture. Woo, a texture is a picture of something that will allow me to create sort of an image on an object, right? That's what I want to do, all right? So let me select paint a texture, and I can go down here, and I can edit. The thing I'm going to do is edit the terrain layers, because every time you apply a texture, you're applying a new layer on the terrain. Because this will give you a lot of freedom in terms of, like, if you have rocks on your mountains, but you want little grassy patches here and there and stuff like that, the rocks can be one layer and the grassy patches can be a different layer. So let's go and edit the terrain layers, and let's create a layer. Oh, now, this is kind of disappointing. These are the only textures that I have available to me. The checkerboard is one. I don't think I want it to be like a bunch of little default particle things. How do I get a new texture? Well, let me close this off, all right? And did it do anything there? Did it save my layers? No, it didn't. Good. This is where it's going to get a little tricky, although it's not difficult, really. You just got to, this is a huge resource in Unity. You can go to this thing called the asset store. And what this has is like easily thousands of things that you can import into your Unity project. Like I can import a fantasy kingdom in Unity, and it's free, which is good, because some of them get to be quite expensive. Like the toolkit for Steam, I don't even know what that is, okay? Oh, here's this guy, you can get him for $40. Here's a Goblin War Camp pack, okay? Let's take a look at it and see. What does it have? Okay, well, they got a little demo video, and we can actually watch it and see what their War Camp pack looks like. Shoot, I'm not signed in. Okay, I have to sign in, all right? And where do I sign in? Up here. Okay. Unity ID, sign in. Okay, email Garton at Columbia.edu. Uh-oh. I want you all to hide your, oh shoot, this is gonna go.
We're gonna say it.
I'm trying to remember it. I was gonna show you my password file. No, that's not it. Let's try this one. If I can't sign in, I'm going to pretend like I signed in, because I already got this stuff downloaded, okay? No, all right. Yeah, I don't really want to show my password file because it has all my passwords in it, and I'm recording this to put online. So let's pretend like I signed in, okay? All right, what you do once you sign in is you will see a little figure up here that's you, and you can click on it, it'll have your name on it, and it'll show you all of the assets that you have purchased or otherwise, all right? And so, no, what do I want to do? I want to go back to the asset store. All right, shoot. asset store. All right, yeah, so I would be up here and I would be able to click on it and then it would have like a folder with my assets and everything like this. But what you can do is you can look for things like terrain textures.
Is that Unity, by the way?
What? Yes.
This graphic, is that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably using that high definition render pipeline that I told you
Yeah.
about that has serious computing power. And that was probably created by like a team of maybe 20 programmers.
Okay, it's just like
Okay, yeah.
big blue ones at that.
Yeah, yes they are. They're earning their living that
Yes.
way. You can too. I mean, you're not going to get much sleep. Okay, so anyhow, but basically, yeah, here's like, this is not worth it. That's like $200 for that? Come on, give me a break here. Because you can get terrain textures here for free. You can get realistic ground for $20. My general approach is I don't use anything but free assets. Okay, I mean, I should because, you know, these are poor people trying to make a little living by creating little textures and selling them and stuff like that. Some people actually earn their living that way. But you can actually select like the price that you want to scan, you know. So if I want to see textures that are like really out of bounds, I can, you know, click on that and get like really high-end textures and stuff like that. But once you do that, and once you select, like if I select this terrain textures, okay, let me select the terrain textures. It's selecting, come on. I got to change to Chrome from Safari. Safari's really been bad lately, okay? But you'd say add to my assets, all right? Now, once you do that, you can go back to Unity, and there's this window called the Package Manager. And your asset is going to show up in here. But you can look, right now it's set up to just show your stuff that's in the project. I want to look at all of them, okay? So I want to look at my assets. And this is where you can see stuff that I have used in the past, okay? And I want to load more of them, so I'll get all of them down there. All right, and there's one that I like to use a lot. It's called Standard Assets. Now notice it dates back to 2018. You can't get this one anymore. But I like it a lot, so I'm going to use it. But you can get stuff very similar to it. Yangqi and I were looking at this, and I was explaining to her that if you really want it, I can send the asset to you. Okay, but it's deprecated. Okay? So anyhow, but I'm going to do it. And notice that if I click on this, okay, I can import it, or I can, initially it'll say download, and you'll bring it down from the asset store after you've selected it in that asset store. Or you can then import it, which I'm going to do next, okay? Notice that it does say deprecated right there, all right? Now, be careful though. I mean, because here's a nice one, Terrain Samples Asset Pack, all right? Here's what you need to be careful about. Look at the package size. It's 1.6 gigabytes. And if all I want is just a simple texture from my mountains, that's more textures than I really want, okay? So I'm going to go with the standard assets, and I'm going to import it, which will bring it now into my Unity project. Here it comes. And I'm going to do some editing already, okay? Now, notice, normally you just say import and import the whole thing, but you know what? I don't want any sample scenes. They just take up a bunch of space. I don't want anything two-dimensional because I'm working in 3-dimensionals. I don't need any of their cameras, okay? I don't need any of their characters. I do need this cross-platform nonsense for some reason. I do need the editor for some reason. The effects, yeah, I'll keep them. They're probably pretty cool at some point. And the environment, that's what I'm after, okay? You can see all the cool stuff that's down in here. So we're gonna keep that. Fonts, nope, need no fonts. Particle systems, we're gonna use those in the future, but I don't need them in this one. Physical materials, I think I might need them. Prototyping, don't need it. Utility, I do need it. Vehicles, don't need any vehicles. Yeah, okay. So basically I just cut down on how much stuff I'm going to bring into my project. You don't have to do this, you know, but if you're worried about your disk space, like I am, because I'm at like 85% on both my disks now. Yeah, so I'm going to import those. Import. All right. And it's compiling the scripts. It's importing. It's good. All right. So now I can close this off, and down here, notice that it has a new folder that it put in under my assets called standard assets. And that's where all these guys are. And I can go in here and I can go into the environment and I can go into like terrain assets and I can see that there's like, oh, look at those, grassy hill, grassy rock, mud rock, sand, cool stuff. Well, how do I get those onto this? Well, it turns out that's actually pretty easy. If I go into my edit layers, remember I didn't actually create the layer because I didn't have any good assets. If I say edit it and I create a layer, now look, whoa, there's all these cool like terrain textures, and some even look like weird trees and stuff like that. Let's look at, cliff albedo specular. That looks kind of interesting. What else we got here though? We got, grass rocky albedo. Yeah, let's make some rocky grass mountains, okay? So I'm gonna click on that, double click on it, and look, the first one you add, it will automatically put onto your thing. The second one, you have to paint it on by hand, okay? But the very first one, and notice that I have that layer right there, all right? Now, notice that it looks ridiculously bad because instead of checkerboards, it's like kind of vaguely grassy and rocky, but it's all checkerboardy. How do I fix that? Well, you go down here, select the layer, and you go down here, and there's parameters that you can change. One of the things I'm going to change is the tiling, because what you're seeing is an artifact of the tiling being very small. So I'm going to make the tiling be bigger. Isn't that cool? Then I'm going to make the Y dimension be bigger. And now it's starting to look a bit more like something that I might want to get a kick out of. Okay, yeah, that's looking pretty cool. So let's walk around it with our wind going in the background. Compile errors. Why is there a compile error? Yeah. Oh dear. This is why it's deprecated. Oh shoot. Which one am I? Okay. guit.ext, use ui.text instead. Okay, I think I may have to just comment it out. Yeah. UI text. Let's try that one. Is it text or txt?
It was UI dot.
It could be. You know what? I'm just going to edit this out. And now I have to find cam switch button. There it is. I'm going to edit it out there. I'm going to edit it out there because I don't need these. Oh, this is that camera nonsense. Okay. So let me save that. Now let me go back out. Now we'll have fun. What time is it? Oh, good. This is actually getting to be just about right. Okay. All right. So here we go. Click. Run. Run. Now it's completing the domain. Yay. I'm happy to see that. Yeah, this is running Unity on Macintosh is tricky. But check it out. Yeah. We're in mountains that we built. But I really want to climb those mountains. But every time I try, it just takes me down into the Hall of the Mountain King. I just made that up. I was a big Greek fan at one point. Okay. So it's starting to look pretty cool. Okay, we got a couple more cool things we can do, but the first thing we want to fix is how to get it so we can climb the mountains. Go to our observer. And it's missing one important thing. It's got this thing called the collider. It's got this renderer and all this sort of stuff, you know. But in order to respond to stuff like the terrain. The terrain has embedded in it a thing called a rigid body. We have to add a rigid body to our observer, because right now it doesn't have a rigid body and it can just go through stuff, which maybe you want. But I don't. So I'm going to add a component, and it's going to be a physics component. And that physics component is going to be, in fact, a rigid body. So I put it there. And now I have this new component, and I can give it a bunch of parameters, like its mass, its drag, and stuff like that. And some of these parameters we're going to need to use, because I'm going to show you what happens. But right now, okay, something bad may happen right off the bat. Yep. Okay. Notice that my observer is out here. Let's put the poor observer back on the mountain. Okay. Let's put it over here in the middle. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we'll try it, and hopefully it won't fall to its death. Yes. All right. So now I'm going to climb that mountain, by golly. Are you ready? Here I go. Whee! 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 Uh-oh. Ah! Okay. Here's the thing. I mean, Unity actually has like real physics built in. Like you saw, gravity would like make me fall to my doom forever. And this is like, you know, I've now got this rigid body. If I try to climb the mountain, I'll like bounce off and spin around.
No arms to grab.
Yes, I mean it's a poor capsule thing. No. What you can do is override the physics. Go down to the rigid body, and on constraints, we're going to freeze the rotation in the x and the y and the z coordinates, okay? So now, when I do it, it should be a very happy and mountain climbing-y thing, okay?
How long did it take you to figure that out?
This is where there's a website called Stack Overflow where you just like type in the problem and like somebody says, oh, here's what you do. So that helped, yeah. But yeah, it did take a little while. So now though, look, I can climb the mountains. Whoa, climb the mountains. Uh-oh, real life physics attacks again. Oh dear, I'm gonna go around that mountain. But I wanna see what's on the other side of the mountains. I'm like a bear who went over the mountain. There we go. Oh, look. It's the promised land. There we are. Yay. Okay. And I can look around. Oh, yeah. Do all kinds of fun things. All right. So, yeah. See, I told you this is getting fun. This is what I like. Just making mountains and stuff like that. All right. All right. We're going to do one more thing, and we're going to call it quits. And this is also just shows you how much fun you can have with Unity. Okay. So we got this light, directional light, okay? Now, these position coordinates don't mean anything because it's an all-perfusing light. It doesn't matter where the source is, even though they have a picture of like a sun up there. It's not actually light coming from that. The light is just kind of like surrounding you. But you can change the things like the rotation of the light. See, I'm making it sunset.
That changes the hue.
Yeah, and like I can add like, you know, things like this. Now this just spins the light around. That doesn't do a whole lot, but you know, we can make it kind of spooky if we want to. Yeah, and we can change the color of the light. Make it reddish, yeah. And then all of a sudden, that wind is going to take on a whole new character because it's going to be blood red vampire wind. Oh yeah. Ooh. Whoa. We reached the hills.
The green cube.
Yeah. Now let's go see what the poor cube is doing.
Don't fall off the edge.
I'll try not to. Because if I do, I will go to my doom. Yeah, it's just sitting there going, oh. yes, we were at the border of Khazad-dûm.
It's like a nightmare.
Yeah, it is pretty liminal.
Yeah. And again, that's just, me screwing around. You can get really subtle with some of these effects, and do some really remarkable things. But again, that's what I was telling you, this terrain stuff, this shows you there are some very powerful Unity tools, beyond just putting in things. Unfortunately, I think we're not going to have time. I was going to show you another program called Blender, which allows you to create 3D objects with various degrees of realism, and you can just take the objects and put them in Unity. So you can have like all kinds of weird rocky things, or if you want, whatever, cars or whatever. But the thing we are going to look at next time is there's another very powerful system that Unity provides you with called a particle system, and you can create really, really interesting effects with it. So we're gonna look at that next time, because right now we're out of time, and that was actually perfectly timed. It's remarkable. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me stop my recording. I hope it worked. We'll find out later. Bye, everybody. Okay, and I'm going to stop my share. Did I stop my recording? No. I have to go up here. I thought I could just click on the green recording thing. Pause, stop recording, stop.